Okay guys, last tutorial before UV mapping. We're headed towards this object here on the right. I'll basically show you in this tutorial how to polish some things up, basically how to get this clean line across the top. The other thing I want to do is build this object on the left. It's got a few new tricks in it. The other thing I want to show you is maybe we should build these in two separate objects. Basically we'll create the base and then create the roof. I think long term for me being able to do the UV mapping with you guys, it'll be easier to keep them as separate objects. So let's get started here. I'm going to put myself back in solid shading. I'm going to do Shift A to create a cube, G to grab it, Z to constrain it to the Z axis, move it up, and then let's go into edit mode, tab, and then make sure we're on face select, choose the face on the right, G to grab it, Y to move or Y to constrain it, move it out. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is create this stone base. We're going to do that with a loop cut, so Control R and move towards a vertical line, and then left mouse to establish it, and then move it down maybe about a quarter of the way up, and then left mouse to lock that in. Okay, vertically we want to have 4 lines here, so Control R to do a vertical loop cut, but come down towards a horizontal line. Right, or sorry, the scroll wheel, sorry, scroll wheel up, you get 4 lines, left mouse to lock that in then now you can move it, escape to lock that in the middle. Control R, loop cut here on the side, we're just going to do 1, left mouse to establish, left mouse to lock it in. Let's get rid of some of these faces on the bottom, so shift left mouse to select them, X to delete, and then choose faces. Let's do the same on the top. Shift left mouse, X to delete, faces only. Okay, so now we're close. Let's create this beveled edge that I've got there. So we're going to do Shift left mouse, go all the way around. And I'm holding down the mouse wheel to do that rotate around. I think you guys probably know that. And then Shift grabs things and moves them the middle mouse wheel. Alright, so let's create the bevel. We're going to create a new set of points. E to extrude, S to scale, and come out just a little bit. So you see we've created a bevel. It doesn't look real natural there because it's not even. So we got to do a little more in the X-axis. So S to scale, X to constrain it in the X only. That looks a little better for us. Now we still don't have the bevel. We're going to have to drop this down a little bit. So G to grab and Z to constrain to the Z, and then just drop it down, get yourself that bevel. So that looks pretty good. We could still tidy it up. S to scale, X-axis, I just want it to be a little more symmetrical. Okay, so now we've got that bevel. Now let's work on the insets. I didn't really clearly explain the I function, but if we hit I right now, you will see it creates a new box, and we can scale that box. So it creates the new set of points by hitting I. If while moving it, I get to where I want for the width of this, I hit Control, I can now move in and out. So it's kind of a neat effect. And so if I move that in and hit left mouse, it establishes that. Now you're going to want to be symmetrical with it along the building, so you can pick this next square next to it and hit Shift R. And that repeats the last action. So if you do no other actions and you just select a face and hit Shift R, it's going to repeat that. Okay, now I actually don't like that effect. I'm going to Control Z. I'd rather see it be more squarish. So in the end, let's go I to create our inset. Now you can see it remembered that it was going to be at a depth. I don't really like that it does that, but if you hit left mouse here, so let's get the amount that we want as far as width, and we come over here, see how it's at -10 at the depth on the left? You can actually now change it to 0 and hit enter, and it will have done a flat inset. Now I'm going to hit E to extrude a new set of points, and you can see that blue line comes up, and then I'm just going to push my mouse up, and so that's going to just push that in just a little bit, and then left mouse to establish it. So actually that's what I want to duplicate across. I'm going to hit Control Z to go back to the inset, so I actually first need to copy the inset. So let's Control Z to get the inset to go away. I to do an inset, left mouse to establish, and then pick an adjacent square and Shift R. And I'm going to do this to the front and the back. So Shift R, left mouse select, Shift R, mouse select, Shift R. Alright, now we'll push one of them in. So we're going to hit E, and we're going to push it in. Left mouse to establish it. And then we can Shift R that around as well. Now with this one, we can actually pick all the squares and do it at once. Shift R, okay? Well, let's not do it that way. We're going to do one side at a time. Shift R. Oh, made a mess of it now. Let's Control Z back. E, extrude in. Pick all these faces. Shift R. Come around to the other side. Let's see what happens here. Shift R. Alright. Better. Who knows? Programs are frustrating. They don't always do what we want. Alright, so good. Now let's do the roof. So let's get out of this object, Tab, A to deselect, Shift A to create a new mesh, and we're going to create this cube. Let's come from above here, hit 7. Let's go into wireframe mode. So come down to the viewport shading tab, and go to wireframe. Then we're going to scroll in here. Remember 7 to get from this top view. 7 on your numpad. If you're in perspective view, you have to hit 5 to cycle between top perspective and top ortho. You want to be in top ortho and then hit 7. Okay? So let's scale this, S to scale it, and let's get a little bit of a lip. It's not symmetrical, so let's do S, scale it in the X, and just get your little lip around the for the roof. So you can see I'm now with the orange square, which is going to be my roof. I'm outside the bounds of the other square. You can come out here and see that as well. 7 to go back from above. Let's mouse wheel out, and then let's just move just this face here. So let's go to face select. You got to hit tab to get into edit mode. Pick this face here. 7 to go back from above. G to grab, and then Y to just move it in the Y axis. And now we're the width that we want to be with the roof. A to deselect, A to select the whole roof, G to grab, Z, move it in the Z axis. Now you can hit 3, and we can kind of, I'm going to hide my other stuff here. Now you can see where we want to move it up just a little bit more. G to grab, Z, move it up just so it sits right on top of the building. Now obviously this is way too big. We're going to pick the top rectangular top face. Let's go back into solid shading, and we're going to hit G to grab, Z to move it down, and then we're going to scale this in, S, bring it in, and now just do S and move it in the X. Okay, so S and X. Alright, now we're getting that little rectangle on the top. We're still too high. G to grab, Z to move it down. Now we're going to make this go away, and we're going to do that by going into vertex select. Now all the vertices are selected on the top. Hit A to deselect. Let's just go to the one end, and then we're going to select one and then shift select the other, and then we're going to go to merge. So on the far left here, you may have to scroll down. You're going to see remove, merge, and then pick merge and go at center. Come to the other end. Now I just want to show you a real quick little annoying thing with Blender is if you select, let's select this one, your arrow could be in the way. So see how this red arrow is now in the way? I cannot select this other point with that arrow in the way. So you have one of two things you can do. You can zoom in and select. I'm going to hit A to deselect to show you, or you can start by selecting the farther point so that these arrows are out of the way, and then shift select the other. So a little bit of an annoyance, and then merge at center, and now you've got that clean center line. Okay? Hopefully this helps. Next tutorial is UV mapping, I promise.